Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, not news, where I read to you headlines, mostly from my news feed, and I share with you my thoughts about the news based on having read the headline, the paragraph following the headline, the whole article, lots of articles, or being an expert on the subject. I don't know. These are just my notes. It's not news. Let us proceed. The battle over gentrification is heating up around the U.S. I skimmed the article, and I guess I had read about this. I used to live in Brooklyn, and there was this, there was a community called Crown Heights. And I guess that in this article, they're talking about a little restaurant that was open in Crown Heights. And as part of the decor, they have fake bullet holes in the wall. And they offer a drink called 40 Rosé or something like that, which is like a 40 ounce with wine. And they serve it in a paper bag. I think that's all that I'm going to say about that. But yeah, gentrification. Is that like, that's kind of like colonialization and, imperialism and all of these other things that rich white men with property and power and their folks do as they move through the world with disrespect and disregard and for anyone other than themselves. And maybe not even for themselves, I don't know. The fires devastating California wine country have created the worst air quality ever recorded, and it's about to get worse. Hurricane Ophelia has gotten stronger as it heads toward Europe. So we had Nate, N-O. So I've never heard about one of our hurricanes. I don't know if they're ours or not, but it did start off kind of in the same region as the ones that we track here and go over there. Do hurricanes only happen in this, start in a certain place? Like, yeah, I know different weather, different weather type activity has different names depending on what region of the world it's in. So I don't know. I might have to research hurricanes, but I think it's like moving at like 8 miles an hour and going about 30 or 40 miles an hour around right now, but don't quote me on that. Taliban hostage family freed by Pakistani troops. So it was like a group. Well, the image that I saw was a woman, a man, and 2 children, but it says it's a family of 5 somewhere. And I think that they were held hostage for 5 years, or maybe I got those 5s conflated. I'm not really sure. But I guess it kind of made me think about, when we, quote unquote, got our freedom, we had been held hostage for years and for generations. And I was kind of curious about what these people had experienced, if it was just really, the idea of being held hostage is already traumatic enough. So then I don't know how many other layers of mess there was on top of that for them to deal with and for their children to deal with. I can just like in a small way can kind of empathize and can imagine what they might be going through, and also sort of multiply that by 1 million for us, us being released. And it's like, we got our freedom, but it's tied with all of this other stuff. And for us, we got freedom within the context of our enslavers. So how free are we? They are going to be, I guess, in the United States, not in Taliban area anymore. So, there's kind of a certain relief, I'd imagine, just with that. Whereas we're still in the land of the people who kidnapped us, enslaved us, beat us, kill us, and continue to do so with impunity. Rose McGowan's Twitter account temporarily suspended. Apparently, that's the woman who sort of broke or started or had something to do with this Harvey Weinstein story. So why they shutting down her Twitter account? What does it mean? Is it harassment? What's really going on? I didn't read the article. A fatal tradition. I don't know what that means. Mexico prison riot. UN cause for investigation. And again, you know, you may or may not know, I always kind of have empathy and interest in, you know, prisons and people rioting and complaining in prisons. And, you know, like I saw a story the other day, maybe a few months ago, about like the food that they serve people in U.S. prisons. Like these private corporations have these contracts and they serve people food that's moldy and gone bad. And it's like really, really jacked up. But it reminds me of, again, our enslavement and the fact that, you know, the prison system is a continuation of the system of enslavement. It's morphed, it's shifted a little bit, but, you know, same concept, same aim, same, you know, beneficiaries, rich white men with property and power. So I'm always curious about in other countries and, you know, just what's going on, what's really going on in prisons, because the propaganda is that, oh, it's bad people in prisons and they deserve to be imprisoned and, you know, they should be treated like boo-boo. But, you know, I guess more and more I'm kind of like questioning that, that storyline. Italian woman granted sick pay to look after ill dog. I was kind of mixed thoughts. I'm kind of like, a dog is a dog, but, you know, Bella is my girl. So, I mean, she's still a dog, but I'm just saying, you know, I remember when I first went to my uncle's house and he had, rest in peace, Uncle Jerry. He had a little like plaque thing with his dog's foot paw print in it, and I guess his dog's ashes were supposed to be in this thing, and I'm kind of like, what is going on? And he like, that was my dog. I'm like, okay, like, we do that now? You done paid the people to cremate your dog and to make a plaque for him and everything? I just always thought we just buried dogs in the backyard when they died. When they got sick, they just got sick. But, you know, I don't know, because this Bella, yeah, she Bella. She's different because for me, she's an inside dog and she's so little. So I really have a whole different you know, I think of dogs differently now, I guess, since Bella. I guess. I don't know. Do you have a dog? Do you have dogs? Did you grow up with dogs? Are dogs like children and people to you? Because I don't think she's like a child or a person. She be out on the street eating boo-boo. And, you know, she's a dog. Namibia's reparations and Germany's first genocide. Germany's first genocide. We often hear about, I guess, Germany's second genocide was the attack on mostly Jewish people. Or maybe that wasn't their second. Maybe they've had more than two. I don't really know much about German history. And I don't know much about the history of genocides. But I know that Namibia is an African, you know, a region in Africa or a country or whatever in Africa. And I know that there have been some atrocities, have been and continue to be some atrocities committed on, you know, human beings that are of African descent, are of black skin, that don't get the same attention or aren't as valued as much by mainstream, you know, media or the people who tell the most of the stories. You know, it's like, oh, a million Africans died, whatever. Oh my God, 80 white people died. No, you know. So, yeah, I'm just trying to like shift my consciousness, because being a part of the society, you know, who is it who talks about the double consciousness of black people? And how, you know, we see things through our eyes and we also see things through our oppressors' eyes. And, you know, I'm trying to shift so that I just see things through my eyes as much as possible. Not to say that I don't want to be an empathetic person, but, you know, I feel like I have to have empathy for me and mine first, right? Isn't that how empathy grows and develops? GOP Senator Sasse asked Trump if he's recanting oath of office with threat to restrict the press. Oh, so when you became president, Mr. Zero, you made a solemn oath, you raised your hand, you swore to uphold the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Constitution of the United States. And so now, sir, you're saying that you want to re-roll back the Constitution or parts of the Constitution that you feel are inconvenient to you. That sounds like you're recanting your oath of office, sir. That's what I think he was saying. I like it. Sass sounds like he got a little sass. I like that. Shoot. Weinstein Company board has known about payoffs to women since 2015. This is a report. Did you need a report? Because I figured they knew before 2015. He's a serial offender. He's been offensive probably as soon as he got in power, or had any sort of power over anybody. He's probably, been, I would imagine. I don't know him, but that would be my theory. Flint water crisis, 6th Michigan official charged with involuntary manslaughter. I have mixed feelings about this too, because, my mother, for example, she's like, it's going higher up the hierarchy. Soon the governor is going to be charged. It's getting, I feel like, first of all, it's been 2014. The stuff still has not been resolved. It's been before 2014. The situation still has not been resolved. The person who's governor is still governor. They intentionally, I don't think it was involuntary. I think it was voluntary manslaughter. I think it was murder. I don't even know if manslaughter is a word. Murder and just disregard and disrespect for human life. And I feel like, by the time it get up to this governor, he's going to get us. I guess I don't have a lot of hope for, people getting justice in this world, or certain types of people getting justice in this world. I feel like they move around in this world and on this plane. It seems like they move around with impunity and are just really cruel and inhumane. Forgotten fragments, I don't know what that means. Daycare workers fired after taped playing with adult toys in front of kids. 3 key reasons explain how the massive firestorm in California became one of the worst in state history. So these wildfires, and I think California has wildfires every year, although I just started noticing about 4 or 5 years ago maybe. But this is the worst in state history. So it's like it seems like almost everywhere we turn in terms of weather, we're hearing this is the worst, this is the worst, this is the worst. Like this year's the worst, this is the worst hurricane season, this is the worst wildfire season. Is that global warming? There's a strong chance that 1/3, 1 in 3 of all people will be African by 21,000. So I think that means that some populations are experiencing a decline in their reproduction. I don't think that African, and that's a big term, are, African type people, African descendants, African, I don't know if that's like across the board, all over Africa, all of the African countries, but I'm all for it. 1/3, I'm all for it. I wonder what percentage of the world is Chinese now, because I heard they had the highest population. But I love African people. The most fascinating MacArthur Genius Grant Fellows, who just won $625,000 to save the world. So the Genius Grants are out. The MacArthur Awards are out. I haven't seen the list. I don't know who's on it, but I guess we'll be hearing more and more about it. Are there any black folks on the list this year? Why do teen magazines idealize relationships between underage girls and adult men? Well, because we're in a society that deals a lot with pedophilia, explores pedophilia, glorifies pedophilia in terms of men dealing with children, men dealing with women who have altered ourselves to look like children, men dealing with women who behave like children. And so, shoot, I guess, in general, you trying to mimic the real thing. People would rather have the real thing. And so even though these teen magazines are supposed to be geared toward female children, the system is in place to support rich white men with property and power. So every single part of the system supports their agenda, their desires, and their advancement. So if they're into pedophilia, then the Teen magazine is going to be glorifying and teaching, girls how to satisfy men. That's what I think. I haven't read the article. College football player kicked off team for kneeling during anthem. You fight for what you believe in. Yay. Plus, y'all know I'm not a fan of football and boxing and situations in sports where people are getting their heads beat in, especially when they black people, especially when they black men. We need our brains. We need all our mental capacity to fight this fight and think this through and get this win. Shoot. One of the only remaining World War II Navajo code talkers has died at 94. I guess it was something about the Japanese, and they spoke in Navajo or had some code that they used that the Japanese, I think it was the Japanese, couldn't crack. And there were a few men who did this, and there's still more alive, but not very many, maybe 5. I don't know how many, but it says one of the only remaining, but he was not the last remaining. But anyway, I wonder how much of the Navajo language is retained and spoken and alive. John Legend, Jesse Williams to produce film on 1968 Olympic protests. So John Legend out here still doing stuff. I guess his production company is out here. We still ain't found a home for Underground, but I'm still appreciative that we had 2 seasons of Underground. So I like to see, John Legend and Jesse Williams. These are these multiculturalist types, because Jesse Williams, isn't he the one who is black identified but looks very, very white, from Grey's Anatomy, who said at the speech, we might be magic but we're human, or something like that? He said at the BET Awards or somewhere. I don't know. And then John Legend is married to the racially ambiguous woman who's cool. She's a model, but she seemed like she have a lot of personality. In depth, but he did that movie where the people were dancing that won all those awards, the jazz movie. At La La Land, I didn't see it. La La Land, he did La La Land. So I don't know if that was good or not. I didn't see it. It didn't look like something I would want to see, but it seemed to do well. It made him a lot of money. Maybe that makes him the money so he can do stuff like, the 1968 Olympics, and we can get those stories. I don't know how it works in the big leagues. In-depth study with recommendations to improve race relations, poverty in the U.S. ignored. Research member speaks out. They've been doing these studies. They do the studies and then they ignore the stuff. And a lot of studies they don't have to do. They could just come to me and I could tell them shit. And most people, many people could tell you the stuff. You ain't got to do the research results come out and they be like, black people are treated like boo-boo. Research study. And we be like, y'all, I guess that's a good way to transfer wealth. You take the money from this institution and you pay these white people to do the research, and then nothing happens. So you just keep the money circulating in your community, I guess. Mary Donahue returns to history as SVP, Unscripted Development and Programming. Oh, this is somebody going to the History Channel, Mary Donahue. It's people behind the scenes at these shows who produce this media that we consume. Who are they? I'm starting to try to bring that to my consciousness. Facebook and Instagram go dark across North America and Europe. This was yesterday. I didn't hear anything about it, but I saw this little article about it. ABC nabs The Real Fairy Godmother comedy starring Kristen Chenoweth from Craig Zadan and Neil Miron as Put Pilot. What's a Put Pilot? I don't know. I don't even know what. But I do like Kristen Chenoweth. She's in the show American Gods. She played Easter, I think, right? Isn't that who that is? I think so. we're back where we started. So those are my notes on the news today. Not news, but that's just the notes on the news. So thank you for catching up with me. We might have some stories we want to follow up on. This is going to go up on my Twitter feed eventually. Be Fabulous, UBEFABULOUS. Today is the best day ever. You are the greatest. You are number one. You create your life. You create the news. We are creating reality together. So let's go out there and make it as fabulous and as wonderful as we are. And let's see the fabulousness and the wonderfulness all around us and within us and through us. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Welcome, welcome back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous.